Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Neto, Market Development Manager at Starin. I'm once again joined by my SME, subject matter expert in everything Zoom, an all-around great guy, Nic Burton. How are you, sir?
Doing great, Chris. Thanks as always.
Hey, man, I absolutely enjoyed our first conversation that we had, and it was a great kind of segue setup for this since you left it off with consistency and change and evolution and stuff like that. So, what I would love to ask you about, because obviously, we both work for Starin, but I love having conversations with you and hitting the record button and getting some of this knowledge and sharing it with everybody who is outside of our realm. I think it'd be great to kind of do. So here we are. But one of the things and one of the benefits of sharing this information is we have to share a little secret, right? We have to get a little bit of juicy knowledge out there to the crowds, to the people that are listening and to the people that are watching. Obviously, we work closely with integrators. Integrators are our ultimate customer, but the final say goes to the end users who are obviously working with the integrator partners that we have. So I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I'm gonna cut right to the chase. What makes us different? Give me three key differentiators in the question why Starin?
Sure. Absolutely. I think the main part of this and with working in the channel and the Zoom side of things, it's always interesting because you've got a lot of, certified integrators for Zoom, certified resellers for Zoom, but then you've got, many that aren't there yet and are looking to get there. And I think that that's one of the main differentiators for us is we've got the right people in place to get our channel partners to the place they need to be as far as providing successful Zoom installations and very good customer experiences. As you mentioned, the end customer is going to drive their road mapping for every one of us. That's
Dude,
that's out of our hands.
I have to jump in because you just struck on a key point there. One, thank you, because I think I work with you, so thanks for the plug. It was kind of unnecessary, but thank you. I appreciate it. But I do agree. I mean, look at, you look at the talent that is within the company, people such as Bobby and Melissa and Doug Dillman. I mean, we have, for lack of a better expression, we have street cred when it comes to the engineering side of AV. We have people that have cut their teeth in the business in every shape or form, whether it's been in the audio, the video, or the UC side of the business. So that I would agree is, and you struck on it, you kind of went over it kind of lightly, but absolutely people make a difference in the quality of talent that Starin has brought in has been impressive. I mean, I'm happy to be here and have a chance to work with some of these amazing folks. The other thing that you said really became super interesting because it's almost a striking a nerve point. Customers designing the roadmap. I'm a big believer in that, man. If the customer, which is the end customer or the end user, they're the ones that are telling us what they want. And I think what you're trying to say, because I jumped in on you and I started to hijack it, but I think what you're trying to say is that basically, if the customers are liking what we're doing, the end users, the integrators get that feedback, right? And they will then come back to us and saying, this is great. Obviously, Zoom was a product that we brought into our product portfolio that took off. The customer feedback was, this is great, it's easy, let's continue. So from that point, we brought in engineering services to help people kind of design the Zoom rooms. And we started having deeper conversations with Zoom around what their Zoom approved devices were and how simple they were. So then we now have custom solutions. We have the Zoom approved solutions as well. We have all these different solutions and they've all been roadmapped, ultimately not by somebody at Starin, but by our end users and our integrators. How true can that something be?
It's so true. And I think it goes back to what do we do about it?
Mm-hmm.
What do we do about it here at Starin that's unique and that differentiates us from, the others trying to do the same thing? I think you're nailing it right on the head with when you're saying that the customers are going to drive, and I mentioned it as well, the roadmap for this, the word that comes to mind is agility.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing that at Starin that we can all pride ourselves on is the agility of the company, and that's top down.
I think Bobby Schwartz has that tattooed across his back.
I think he does. I think he does, if not branded somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
So it all comes down to agility, and I think you have to look at what's the main pain point for end customers. Like Zoom's got this amazing solution, and we've already talked through that. As far as what providing the best experience, and what comes into play as you're rolling out Zoom projects and you're getting into the hardware perspective. Mm-hmm. That's where the pain points can start to bubble up. And that's why we are working so tightly with Zoom, is to eliminate this key pain point. And that's the hardware, that's expanding sales cycles much longer than they need to be. It's convoluting the message and the experience. And that's really what we've come in to do, and to serve Zoom really as a partner through things like advanced supply chain. As you mentioned, the people, building a whole team around this effort. Yeah. From design, project management, sales, enablement, all of that. And it's really all focused on the same thing, and that's that end customer roadmap. So that's really, in a nutshell, what we're out to do here. And it's just so interesting to see everything change. There's so much innovation right now. So if you're not agile, it's hard to keep up with it.
I want to take you for a ride. Well, I need you to step into my DeLorean. We're going to check the flux capacitor. I want to take you back.
Let's do it.
All right. So here you are, the CE, working your way up to BDM. Zoom comes along. It wasn't an easy transition to talk to integrators. What were some of the bigger fears then of integrators when Zoom came on? Did they see it as, how do I sell this? How do I work with this? Because it wasn't a traditional, let's buy a camera, let's put it in, and you turn it on. Like, it wasn't an easy thing for people to understand. Tell me about it, because you were there early on.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if you put your integrator shoes on, mm-hmm. and the same shoe, honestly, I'm wearing them every day as well. Working with Zoom and our integrators and their end customers, I have the pleasure of being involved with those conversations, mm-hmm. Which is awesome. But I think if you put yourself in those shoes, it's when Zoom comes along, it's part of the solution. So you have to understand it in order to speak to it and to design around it and to basically complement what that basis of their experience is going to be. So I think that was really the starting point of, okay, how are we going to do this? And that's the unique thing about Zoom that we've talked about already, where they have taken it upon themselves, unlike most, to really standardize on things, and that's made it a lot easier for the integrators to kind of jump in, understand what works, understand what doesn't, and really get down to the process of completing a full Zoom deal. Whether you're selling the license yourself or you're just providing the hardware, it really doesn't matter in a sense of the final solution, because you have to be able to speak to it, and you have to be able to tell them, hey, this AVer 540, this Cam 540 is going to be perfect for this situation, or this D10, D7 is going to fit your huddle space perfectly, and here's why. Here's what it does with Zoom. Here are the unique feature sets. Here's what's going to make your experience better. So I think it was just getting that learning curve tightened up a bit, and that's kind of the starting point, and it's just been amazing to watch it expand. It's been very
so
cool.
Funny that the stories from early on of how people were trying to adopt and figure out how Zoom worked and how things were. Yes, it was never the service. The service and the user experience was always there. The UI and of what Zoom did was an easy conversation for a lot to have, but they didn't understand, I guess, from as I heard, because I've only been with the company about 2 years, listening to your conversation, it was, there was a lot of questions regarding around, how do I how do I sell this and how do I integrate? And I'm an integrator, and how do I integrate this into it? And you're telling me that it's this product. You know what? The irony of it is that some big video conferencing manufacturers have been doing that for years. But you had to buy their product and stay within their systems. Zoom was no different. The only difference, and I guess it kind of threw people off, and it was like a shock for many, was that they were not giving you or providing hardware equipment at the time. They were saying, use what you want. And then they went out and said, here, we tested this. This is approved because this works with our systems. And the approval was all based around the one key thing that all those other partners were forgetting, is that when you updated the system on product X VTC, you also had to update every other component that was attached to it, whether it was a DSP, whether it was a control system, whatever the case is. Zoom went out and kind of reverse engineered how that worked. So if they have approved products, they kind of got that equipment or that firmware to them early and said, hey, these are the changes we're making. It really made it more efficient to develop and to create, obviously, the Zoom Room packages, because these now became certified packages that once it was updated to the next level of firmware, it all was ensured and guaranteed that it would all update at the same time. As a former technology manager end user on site with people, finding out that XYZ brand updated their firmware and now all of a sudden I have no control of a camera, it's a problem, because I didn't have programmers on standby for 24/7. So that obviously they addressed a need within the AV industry. I guess, I don't know, without being in the AV industry, they kind of figured it out with an IT mindset. Very interesting take on that. So let's jump now back into the DeLorean and let's go to the future, since we were in the past and convincing people of how this would work for them. Now here we are in 2020, and the big disruption is hardware as a service. How does this now how are you taking this to the integrators, right? Because it's not just you talking to the integrators about bringing hardware as a service or HaaS. There is a bigger mindset around HaaS. And how are you describing how HaaS can work for integrators, and ultimately, how does it work or benefit their customers?
Sure, great question, and I'll try to be concise. HaaS is, when Zoom announced HaaS, there was a lot of buzz around the channel and our partners, and about this, what are we going to do about this? The financing side of the industry, that's been around for a while. Your traditional kind of leasing and financing, things like that, the OpEx versus CapEx, and those discussions are happening. We've got partners that have been doing that for years. So it's a differentiator, again, that we've talked through a lot of things, a lot in the past couple episodes.
It's a differentiator for the integrator, not just for us, because anybody can rent or lease.
Right.
But it's also, and I'm going to let you finish, obviously, but I'm sorry if I interrupt, I'm rude. But you're passing this differentiator on to the integrator here. Yes. And I just want that to be clear.
I think it's all about, again, we've talked through a lot of this and the things that Zoom has done to eliminate pain points that hardware causes, really. And you've talked through, what Zoom's done to certified products, or, the compatible products. And really what it is in the end, it's designing a room that's with the intent on the room cannot fail, cannot go down. And that's what the peace of mind you get when you're using these products, right? So shifting that into HaaS, right? It's about the ease for the end customer. Again, the ease for the channel partner to conduct a larger sale on a greater scale that doesn't have such an impact on a capital that a capital expenditure would have, right? So you're really getting a true subscription. You're not going to own the hardware at the end. You have options throughout the time that you've agreed to rent this hardware. We can talk about that some more.
We live in a subscription world. I got my dog food comes in every 3 months from my pup. I obviously have subscribed to the Netflix model, and I'm down with that, and Disney Plus, and it's cost effective in the sense that, hey, it's a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there a month. And it ensures that I never have, more importantly, my dog never goes without food. We are entertained by Netflix. But on a hardware service, it also now, it guarantees that, okay, let me take a step back. You've sold to integrators in the past. They've bought maybe 5 rooms as a test, right? And I'm doing the air quotes for people that may not have seen that. And the reason why I'm saying that is they typically start small and they bring Zoom into a space for people to try. And the feedback that they get usually is typically positive. Many companies, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, and I'm talking about end users, would love to say, hey, we'd love to do every room, but that may be financially impossible. So the Haas program now opens up a different view or different way to have the product rollouts. And the big corporates and the big companies that are out there love doing installs in rollouts. And I think, in my opinion, Haas makes that easier. What do you agree?
100%. I 100% agree. I think if I had to just, for our integrators, for our channel partners, if I had to use 2 words to describe what Starin's Zoom Haas program means and what Haas really means, and even for Zoom, it's stickiness and it's flexibility, right? So it's particularly on our side of things because, you know, what you're doing is you're creating a relationship. When a customer goes in and says, okay, we're going to do a 3-year Haas with you. You're going to provide all of our technology. You're going to roll in your support, your monitoring, your maintenance, your installation. It's very flexible in that way as well. It's also flexible on the solution side. So what it's creating is that long-term relationship, keeping the end customer happy with their technology and also at the forefront of technology with the options that we have for, you know, advancing. If there are advancements in technology, there's options there. But if I had to describe it, it would be stickiness and flexibility and allowing for those greater rollouts to happen in a much quicker sales cycle.
And, you know, for the people that are watching what we're doing here, what we're talking about, just to give a little bit more in-depth information about Haas, and this is something obviously we would like to maybe even continue in another segment if you got some time, man. I would love to sit and chat a little more. But we're using recognized, known international brands as well, bringing them into the Haas program. Can you tell me a little bit about what are the products or what are the brands that we're using in our initial Haas offering?
Absolutely. Start with the D10 on series. So as many folks listening, watching will have probably already heard about it, you know, that the appliance realm is upon us, right? So we're really starting with that appliance, and it's really, you know, it's a device that's, you know, been vetted by Zoom and these manufacturers to really, again, provide that very seamless, quick and easy experience.
All in one is important.
Right. So D10 on, you're all in. I don't even, you know, I don't like to call it anything, but this is a full on Zoom room in a box, right? Comes with your wall mount. It's running a proprietary OS built by D10. It's going to give you all the feature set that folks are used to with the original D7, just lacking the Windows compute. So you've got that, and that's been a giant success since we started down that D10 path. And then you've got another big partner who everyone knows as well. You've got Poly. So their new, very unique and awesome solutions with the X30 and X50, with or without their touch panel controller, the TC8. You know, those are amazing devices to start with. So that's really where we're kind of heading. It's very similar to Zoom. It's complementing and supplementing Zoom's Haas program for their customers and allowing the channel customers to come in and also provide those same solutions and that with the same feature sets and all of that. So that's really where we're starting. But I did mention flexibility, which we can talk about some more too.
Awesome. It's great that you're bringing names like obviously D10 and Polycom. These are companies that have, you know, cut their teeth on the UC space and really on the integration, not so much on the God, that was the wrong word. It wasn't integration, but these are UC specialized companies that have been doing unified communications for many years. So it's great that we brought in and introduced these two brands. And I'm sure, the way Starin works, you know, obviously here we are talking about it, but I doubt that it's only going to be those two brands. I'm sure more things are going to come in as we develop, and our R&D is looking into different products that we can bring in and solutions moving forward. We're not doing this by ourselves. We have a strong partner in Tamco. Can you give us a little your quick take on what Tamco, who Tamco is, and how Tamco is involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So our program's powered by Tamco, our financial provider for this solution. Really, I'm going to call it a solution, this hot solution. So the Tamco team is very unique as far as what I've experienced working with other financial partners. They really take ownership, and they take ownership, and I don't want to say in just the particular deal, but in the partnership. And that's what I love the most about Tamco. They make it flexible. They make it easy. They make it very easy for the integrator to sell, or the reseller to self-serve. And I really love that about it. You have it when you're conducting a Haas sale through Starin, powered by Tamco. You have the team to lean on. You have a channel person from Tamco that you don't just have a general support number to call. You've got a guy or a gal that you can call that can help you through, a situation, or explain the best way to do something, or give you a quick quote, or whatever it may be. They've really built their business and been such a great partner for this program. I'm extremely excited to see that take off. They've previously worked with a lot of partners that we have mutual partners. So there's a lot of ease there. And what I've seen so far from particularly Jason Lowry there, who is our go-to, has just been excellent. And we're looking forward to continuing to kick this off with them.
I heard rumblings on the early kind of when you guys were working on bringing Haas to Starin, and you were part of the team. That was one of the key things that Bobby was insistent about, and Bobby being our pres, kind of needed to work with a company that was going to provide not just a credit line, right? That wasn't what we were looking for, because this needs to be brought into organizations as a solution. And to do that, you needed somebody that can talk the talk and understand what the integrators were looking to do. And then obviously, ultimately, have that conversations to help them help the end users. Because if it doesn't go there, like I said, that whole roadmap thing that you brought up early on, we don't have a roadmap if that's a fail point, right? The road basically will end and we go off a cliff. So we need to be very strategic in how this is being offered in order for our integrators and obviously our customer end users to be ultimately happy with it. And obviously adopting, a hardware as a service platform, which is very unique and maybe very different for an AV industry to understand. That has typically been, run and gun and install what's on a shelf. We get that. We still have products that we can bring in. But from a rental perspective, it's a different mindset. And I think it's something that as companies begin to shift and pivot, obviously 2020 has been a very interesting year. There are many things affecting our industry right now that is forcing change. Zoom is one of those. Right? Obviously, Zoom has gone from, hey, I know Zoom, to my mom telling me to Zoom call her. So, and she is by no means in the AV business. But what I'm basically saying is that things that were thought of early on and said, yeah, we'll get to it, have been accelerated. Whether that is Zoom and their features. Right? I think Zoom now personally, and this is kind of sidebar, Zoom has focused a lot heavily on the last 3 months on their security. They've done a very good job of bringing that up to speed. That was a promise that they made, and I think they made that and said that within 90 days, we're going to have a lot of this corrected, and they've done a very good effort at doing that. The other thing that I'm impressed with is the fact that they've added feature upon feature, and the best part about this whole feature thing, regardless of what UC platform you choose to use, right? Obviously, we have a preference. Obviously, in Zoom, we use it internally. We eat our own dog food when it comes to how to use Zoom and what we do and how we use Zoom on a daily basis. But what I find interesting is, like everything else, the competition between Zoom and its competitors to add features is a benefit ultimately to us as distributors, to the integrators who are installing it, and obviously to the customers, because if a customer so much as sneezes and says they want this, everybody's rushing to do it. So you're getting this mass acceleration in R&D and feature sets being brought a lot quicker today than they would have maybe a year ago. The market's calling for that. They are putting a lot of their resources in it. And obviously, you know, with the forefront now of Haas coming into play, that must have, and I'm sure, came into the conversation, and they've announced it, and we're ready for it as well. So Nic, thank you again for sitting down and giving me a good, you know, education on Zoom, and obviously giving us a little bit of on the hardware. But I do have more questions, man. I'd love to continue this on the next one. So if possible, let's do another one right after this, which would be great. But in the meantime, tell people where they can find out more about you or Starin or Haas, whatever information you want to give out, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You can always hit our website, www.starin.biz. If you want to reach myself or my team, you need some help directly, you can hit Team Zoom at starin.biz. That'll reach everybody. Someone will be right around the corner to help you. And as always, link in with me. I'm always happy to chat. Have any sidebar conversations. I'm always open to chat. So
you heard it from Nic Burton, the man with the plan at Starin. He knows how to get it done, man. I'm just saying that because I want to tease you, but you do know what you're doing. You've been doing this for a lot longer than I have in this particular realm. So I'm not even going to play the expert on this, man. This is your wheelhouse, and this is where you roll. I appreciate you taking a little time to help educate myself and the people that are listening. My name's Chris Neto. I'm the Market Development Manager at Starin. I'm sitting here having a conversation with Nic Burton. Press the record button, and you know what? Maybe it's content that you find likable. And if you like what you're seeing, please let us know. We're going to get you some more information regarding Haas, Zoom, what Nic is doing, and some of the developments, and revealing and trying to be as transparent as possible. Once again, you can find us at www.starin.biz. You can also find us on the social networks, the Twitters, the LinkedIns, YouTubes, Instagrams. Look up Starin_MKG. You'll find us. That's where you find me and doing all things social. Nic, you can find working hard and doing everything Zoom related and beyond. But please let us know if you have any questions. Drop it in the comments below. Let us know what we can do, and we'll be more than happy to assist. Nic, I can't wait for the next part, man. Thank you for hanging out for a little bit.
Thanks.
Much appreciated.